Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard.
And get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Go Cloud Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Go Cloud team.
All right, everybody, welcome to another Cloud Computing Career Q&A session from us at Go Cloud Careers. My name is Chris Johnson. I am the Chief Operating Officer here, and I am joined by our founder and CEO, Mike Gibbs. So we come on YouTube every week to answer your questions about cloud computing careers, about cloud computing training, about cloud architect careers, cloud engineer careers, cloud architect training, cloud engineer training, any kind of questions that you might have about cloud architect careers or cloud computing careers. We're here to help you. We come here once a week to answer your questions and help you live for free on YouTube. So if you've got questions, make sure to put them there in the chat box for us. Normally, we are joined by our Chief Marketing Officer, Alonzo Coleman, but he decided that we were going to let him have some time off. So since he decided that for us, we decided to let him move ahead with that time off. It's always good to take some time and recharge and go have some fun. So we're excited for him, and we look forward to having him. I think he'll actually be back with us later tonight. He just took a long weekend. So anyway, like I said, we've got Mike, our founder and CEO. He's been in tech for over 25 years, and he's held a lead architect positions for 2 decades as a network architect, an enterprise architect, a cloud architect, and a business architect. Now, I have nearly 15 years of experience in HR and corporate operations and leadership experience. So Mike and I will be here to answer any and all of your questions. So I've got a few things to tell everybody about, but before I do that, I want to check with Mike. Mike, see if Mike has any words he wants to share with us before I get rolling on the next thing.
Yeah, maybe a couple, and then Chris, I want you to go back to talking about what you're talking about, because I know you've got a lot of important announcements. Good news is I got to see Alonzo in Florida. He was visiting Disney, and I drove up to see him. So I got to see Alonzo. We've been like brothers for about 1.5 years now. So I got to meet him in person. Totally unrelated to that, I want you to all know that you can do anything you desire in your careers. When I practiced medicine, I said, I'm going to move to tech. Everybody laughed at me. They said, you've got no degrees in tech, no experience. Who's going to hire you? And I said, I'll be a network engineer. And they said, no, you won't. You'll start at help desk or some kind of network admin thing. And I said, never. Well, 6 months later, I did exactly what I said. And I was working as a network engineer, but not a basic network engineer. I was a senior network engineer in my first job. And just last week, my student, Al Legister, started Deloitte with 0 tech experience after our program as a senior solution architect, just like me, and many of our students do it all the time. So what I want to let you know is you can do anything you want. All of you. You know, in my experience of coaching people for over 25 years, the only thing that stops people is they're afraid. Afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of a lot of things. Because believe me, I've got about 20,000 hours studying the behavioral science and psychology of coaching and winning the interview and getting people hired, in addition to the thousands of hiring managers, C-level executives, tech recruiters, and interviews I've done. But you can all do it. I'm telling you right now. Last week, we had 4 or 5 people that got their first cloud architect job, and you can do it too. Don't let anything hold you back. Go after your dreams. I mean it. Now, Chris will talk to you about the cloud architecture career and things that we're doing. I'm going to tell you, don't delay getting to your goals. Life is short. I used to practice medicine. And I'll tell you, I know how it ends. I've seen it end for a lot of people. And a lot of people said to me, Mike, I wish I cared for others like you. I wish I had better family relationships. I wanted to be a triathlete and I let life get in the way. I wanted to do this. Don't let anything get in your way. You can be like Delray Batt, who is a firefighter EMT. I like to call him my son because he comes and visits me in Florida all the time. He was on ambulances. Now he's a cloud security architect after our training. Or Balwinder, who was a stay-at-home mom. Now a cloud architect at Microsoft. Or Al, used to be a sales rep for Kimberly-Clark, you know, the consumer products group, tissues and those kind of things. Now a senior solution architect. Or Vladimir, the 24-year-old college student, now a solutions architect. Or whether it be someone like Coyote over at AWS, first job out of college, and no, he wasn't an associate solution architect, he was a real solution architect. Or Ivan Tama working as a waiter, now a solution architect with AWS. Or one of my favorites, Daniel Bosu. And why is he one of my favorites? Because he had everything working against him. He wasted $35,000 on some horrible boot camp to teach him something, and he knew nothing because they gave him a garbage instruction and they basically robbed him for his money. He actually won an award in a course with us, 6 months later, he's now a solution architect with JP Morgan Chase. And why is it such a victory? He didn't even graduate high school, and he still got that solution architect job. Or Jennifer, who got hired at AWS with no tech background as a mental health tech. Of course, we have people like Praveen, who got hired at JP Morgan Chase, and Pritipal, who got an enterprise architect job. Or Wallace, who's working at JP Morgan Chase, no tech background, an enterprise architect job. And I could give you example and example and example. So what I'm telling you is go after your dreams. It doesn't matter what your dreams are, just go after them. Get the right training, the right plan, and no matter what you want to do, whatever your dreams are, go for them. If it's triathlon, go for it. If it's Olympic weightlifting, go for it. And if you want to be a cloud architect, we can help you get there. Chris, let me go back to you.
Right. So I noticed I only see one question there in the chat box so far. Got 30 people in here and only one question. So don't be shy. We can't help you. We can't answer any questions if we don't get asked any questions. So make sure to ask us those questions. So I do want to let everybody know about a few things. So right now, we do have our 50% off of our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. This discount ends tomorrow, Tuesday, March 14th. The discount is part of our discount countdown. This discount has been available since February 15th, and it will be available through tomorrow. Don't hesitate. This is a 50% off discount that could change your life. For approximately $1,249 with the 50% discount applied, you can get access to our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program with over 500 hours worth of content, 3 live classes per week for an entire year, and an amazing community of people that are trying to reach the same level of success that you are. So not only do you get access to the live classes for an entire year, you get access to the class recordings, our entire back catalog, all of our AWS content, our Azure content, the career development content, the soft skills content, the communication training, the branding training, the interview training, the lab configuration trainings, everything, and design configuration trainings, architecture solution design practices, anything and everything that is necessary for you to become a cloud architect is available to you for just a few days' pay for the average cloud architect. The average cloud architect earns $800 per day. This is according to Glassdoor.com. For every month of delay in attaining your goal of becoming a cloud architect, that is potentially $16,000 in lost income. $16,000 in lost income. So don't hesitate. This discount will not be around after tomorrow. So in addition to that, we also have our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, which we will be hosting tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. For those of you here in the United States, we lost an hour of sleep. So now we are on Eastern Daylight Time. So that right now we are 4 hours behind the UK. That is the only time zone conversion calculation that I'm going to be doing. But tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we will be doing our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, where we'll tell you everything you need to know to become a cloud architect. Whether you do it with us, with the training that I just described, or you do it on your own, we'll tell you everything. We'll answer your questions. We'll be available for up to 2 hours to answer your questions. So make sure to join us for that. That'll be tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, or we'll have another one Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. Next thing I want to do is I want to make sure everybody knows to follow Mike and Go Cloud Careers on LinkedIn. We're constantly putting information and resources and assets out there for you on LinkedIn. That is the best place to find all of our information. So make sure you are following both Mike and Go Cloud Careers there on LinkedIn. So now that I have gotten all of that out of the way and I can drink some water again. Sunday says, I would love it if you talk about cloud engineering. Well, what would you like to know about cloud engineering? And we can talk about it. That is a very broad, that's like saying I want to talk about airplanes. Okay. So Sunday, if you give us some further clarification about what it is about cloud engineering you'd like to know about, maybe tell us a little bit about you and what your goals are with cloud engineering, then we can discuss that.
And Sunday, I also want to know where you live. I know you said you're from Nigeria. For example, there's reasons we never recommend cloud engineering jobs in the US, the UK, Canada, or Australia. And we'll talk about that if you ask the question further. But we do like cloud engineering jobs in the developing world. So tell us exactly what you want to know about cloud engineering, and we'll get you there.
All right, so Millen says, how do you prepare for cloud migration architect interviews?
Millen, if you actually understand cloud migration and it's silly easy to you, you're going to know exactly what to do. So Millen, I'm going to give you a couple things. One, most people neglect interview training. And that is the biggest career mistake of your life. The average cloud architect for junior level and mid-level jobs has a $100,000 difference between the basic and between the top and bottom paid person for the position. So keep that in the back of your mind. So get interview training. We provide some extraordinarily good interview training. So you have to know, an interview training is about controlling the interview, connecting to the hiring manager, knowing what the hiring manager wants and how to sell yourself to the hiring manager, proving you're great, the interview presentation, establishing rapport, controlling the interview to show your strengths versus your weaknesses. So it's for that. Now, assuming you've got interview training, you also have to understand that you have to have the competency for the job, which means if your training has been around the name of a service and how to configure that service, you're not going to know how to do any kind of cloud migrations. You need to understand the network and data center technology. So if you understand what a virtual machine in the data center is and how to size them, memory, CPU, DRAM, and storage, and you understand the weaknesses around cloud storage, then you can figure out exactly what kind of virtual machines you use in the cloud. And everything going to the cloud is going to be at least 2 clouds now. It was 80% of customers that were on 2 clouds, and now it's 98%. So you're going to have to know how to do this on 2 clouds. You're going to have to understand the WAN technologies that are required, the amount of data that needs to be there, the security requirements, and how you're going to deal with it. For example, you're not going to deal with an enterprise customer and use anything like WAF or Shield or any of the nonsense that's covered in an AWS Advanced Security certification. That doesn't work in reality. It's too basic for anything, so you're going to need to know. You're going to need to know your networking protocols to prepare for it. First, what's your WAN going to look like? Are you going to use VPNs? Are you going to use tunnels in the form of IPsec or SSL? Or are you going to use a private line? Or are you going to use Ethernet over MPLS? Are you going to use software-defined networking? You're going to use SASE. Now, when you're dealing with data center storage, you're dealing with fast. When you're dealing with block storage in the cloud, you're dealing with slow. Now, AWS and your cert will tell you it's fast, but it's nonsense. For example, I can get a storage card for my server that gives me 19 million ops. In the cloud, that's multi-million dollars per month versus a $500,000 card that I stick on my server. So you're going to have to understand that. So first, you're going to have to know what questions to ask to figure out the scope of what's going on. And that's going to take extremely good communication skills, CXO relevancy, sales skills, and leadership skills. Then you're going to have to, if you get the information, you're going to have to go build a team at your current company in order to do this. And you're going to have to do the same thing for the interview. You're going to have to know which questions to ask. Then you're going to have to build a plan, which technologies are needed. And then you're going to have to build the networking plan, the IP addressing plan, the compute plan, the storage plan, the security plan. So, Milind, how much do you know about network data center technology? If your world is configuration, you're going to need training into architecture. Because architects design a building, architects design the plan or the strategy. If an architect received training on how to use a hammer, nail, or a screwdriver, it's worthless training because it doesn't teach them how to design. If your training involves configuring things and coding, for example, in Terraform and Linux, again, that's not going to prepare you for the design. So, Milind, what is your background? And if it's not, make sure you get network training, data center training, architect training. And tonight, what we're going to talk about for 30 minutes is exactly everything you need to learn. We'll tell you everything that you need to learn to be a good cloud architect. And of course, there's that. But, getting the interviews is nothing if you've got the right brand. So we'll also talk about that tonight. So if you've got a specific question, I can help you with it, but that's going to be what you're going to need to do. And Chris, you're muted there.
So let's see. All right, so this one is greetings for the AWS Solution Architect internship in Amazon Malaysia, and the basic qualifications that highlighted experience with one of the programming languages. Is coding really necessary?
Well, first, I don't know what kind of job you're talking about, so I'll make it very clear. Cloud architects do not code, will never code. In fact, I'm going to make it so clear that cloud architect will not be allowed to touch the technology. If you work for Amazon or Microsoft or Oracle, for example, or Google, or JP Morgan Chase Bank or Bearing Point or Accenture or KPMG or any real company, they won't let the architects touch the technology. We design the technology, present it and sell it. A team of engineers goes and builds it. And when the engineers are done, it's turned over to another team called sysops engineers, the maintenance people. And when there's a technical problem, they call the technical support center. So you got to let us know the job. For cloud engineers, coding is very necessary. For cloud admins, which I never recommend that job, why would you start with an entry-level job? There's no reason for it. Why would you start with a job that pays 30% of what you could earn on the regular job? And it's just as easy to get a regular job. In fact, easier to get a regular job than it is an entry-level job. So, there's that, but you got to tell me what career you want. Because some careers need a lot, like DevOps engineers code. SysOps people code. Cloud engineers code. Software developers code, but cloud architects don't. So you got to tell us the career you want to answer that question.
I would also suggest that we don't, as someone that seems to be developing their career development plan or their career plan or their long-term plan here, I wouldn't look at internship job descriptions.
Never.
I would look at what is your goal career. Look at those job descriptions. And now, here's the big bombshell. Job descriptions are worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from me, the HR guy. I can give you example after example of actual hiring managers, not hiring managers, but HR managers and hiring managers that have said that the job description is either A, contradictory, or B, a bad copy and paste job. So just keep that in mind. The likelihood that the job description that you're looking at is known to be contradictory, or B, is known to be a bad copy and paste job. That is prevalent throughout the industry. And not just the tech industry. That is every industry, every career, every role. So and internship roles and job descriptions for internship roles are even more notorious for being known as a catch-all, having every single possibility thing underneath the sun. So again, this is a very specific job description for a very specific role. Who knows what they're looking for? This actually sounds like a role that is used. It sounds like a job description and a placeholder that can be used for 500 different departments.
Yeah.
So, you could probably see AWS Solution Architect internship for 500 different departments, and they're all looking for 500 different things for that same job title.
That's true.
So it's just that's the dark side of job descriptions. So,
and a side note, I've never had more than 10% of the skills on any job description. I've got hired for every job I ever desired. Same thing with our clients. And in fact, with the best recruiters we know, when they see a job description, they always call the hiring manager and say, I know you don't want this. What would you actually like?
All right. Based on your experience, what is the definition of a good solution architect? What do you do when hiring somebody? Ooh, can I start this one, Mike?
You can start it off.
I got a very simple one. The definition of a good solution architect is somebody that listens.
That's part of it. That's a good start.
That's the best. Like, if you can't listen, if you're not willing to listen. So I'll let you continue, Mike.
Okay, so Ellie, going to make it very clear. The worst solution architects in the world are the people that get 10x certified. They are terrible, and here's the why. A really good solution architect or cloud architect or enterprise architect is an expert at improving the business's performance with technology. So the reality is a really good solution architect is a business professional, and it is a business job. Since Eli, we're not allowed to touch the technology, and our job is to go meet with the client, find out about their business, get their business pain points, their business challenges, their goals. What are the competitors doing? The key things that an architect needs to know are as follows. First, listening skills. When that executive tells you about their business, they're going to spit it out so darn fast. And if you can't catch it, you've already lost. And the reason is the executive doesn't have time to repeat themselves 4 and 5 times. They got a couple minutes here and there. And if you can't listen and catch it, you got nothing. Now, listening is a subset of communication skills. You need to be able to ask the right questions or you will have garbage in, which means garbage out, bad design. So communication skills are actually the best one. Now, the next thing we have to understand is you're going to have what's called CXO relevancy. Here, watch. Hey, Chris, my name's Mike. I'm a cloud solution architect with 10 years experience. Chris isn't going to hire me. He's going to kick me out of the room. Chris, my name's Mike Gibbs. I'm a cloud architect with 25 years experience helping businesses increase their performance with technology. Now he's listening. Look at his expression. It changed. That's called executive presence. Now, Chris is a chief operating officer. I must communicate to Chris in a manner that he understands. You know, Chris is concerned about the operations of a business. So if I say, Chris, this AWS Cloud S3 thing is really exciting. It's got 11 nines durability. He's going to laugh me out of the room. He doesn't care. It's not relevant. Now, if I say, Chris, you know, the technology solution on the AWS Cloud is very agile and is very simple to manage. It's going to free up your people approximately 20% of their time so they can focus more on the business and less on managing the technology. Now he's going to be interested. That's called CXO relevancy. Now the next thing is I got to go sell Chris or whoever the executive is to go buy my billion-dollar solution. And believe me, I've designed a lot of billion-dollar architectures. I'd have to learn how to sell because I got to sell them. And the next part is I'm going to need leadership skills. And here's the reason, Eli. When I go to the customer and they give me this laundry list, this huge list of requirements, I'm going to look at it and go, uh-oh, there's no way that anybody with 300 years experience or less is ever going to be able to design this by themselves. So I'm going to have to go back to my customer and I'm going to build a team. I'm going to have to sell the management why I need a team. And I'm going to have to build a business case why they're going to give me like $2 or $3 or $5 million worth of time with the people in order to design the solution. Next, I'm going to have to document it. Then I'm going to have to present it back to the customer, and then I'm going to have to sell it. So Eli, this job is 50 to 80% experience in tech, meaning in business to optimize the business performance. Now, the next thing that you need to understand is you're going to need system design skills, not configuration. We don't touch the tech. And in order to design, you're going to need network and data center skills. And that means you're going to need to understand BGP, interior gateway protocols, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, building an IP address plan, route summarization, route aggregation, which WAN technology to use, such as IPsec, SSL, software-defined networking, SASE, private lines, those kinds of things. DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP, NAT, and not like the silly NAT in the AWS Advanced Networking, which shouldn't even be called the junior level networking course. It's going to be the one-to-one NAT, the one-to-many NAT, the static NAT, dynamic NAT pattern, when to use it. Switching, so that means VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, port channel, ether channel, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, link aggregation groups, and that's from the data center, the network side. Of course, you're going to also need to understand servers and server virtualization and containers and container orchestration, storage area networks such as block storage, object storage, file storage, business applications, ERP systems, CRM systems, databases, and then understand, how to secure these environments with like next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS system, and none of that cloud native stuff. So when you can do that and you can design and you can go sell these $100 million solutions, you are an awesome cloud solution architect. But the ones that get 10X certified and they learn everybody else's job, like a developer, which we don't do, or SysOps, which is maintenance, and DevOps, which is somebody else's job, they're the absolute worst. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not uncommon for somebody to earn $500,000 plus as a good solution architect if they have business acumen. If they focus on the tech, it's a $100,000 job. So where do you want to be in the long term? And I've spoken to thousands of hiring managers, chief information officers, recruiters, and I get people hired as a cloud architect or a solution architect almost every day. So that's what we're hearing from customers as well.
All right, so I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. and go to the last question that just came in from Kendall. Kendall asks, if I was to purchase your program as someone with limited knowledge, how long is the course, or how long does it take to get cloud hired with your course?
Kendall, let me answer that because I founded the course for this reason, and I got somebody hired every day. Today, Scott McCormick got hired, and he posted it today. So it's normal for us to get someone hired almost every day. It takes between 8 and 12 months, I'd say on average for someone with no tech background. Now, people that have a tech background, it's about 6 months. And even the reason it takes that long for people to even have a tech background is most people's tech background is not related to architecture. Engineering does not give you any experience or advantage in architecture. Engineering is construction, and architecture is system design. So imagine taking an engineer with 10 years experience, and we get lots of them, and really think of them, and what they do is construction. So think of somebody that's been doing construction for 10 years, and all of a sudden they wanted to become a building architect and design a 1,000-meter tall hotel. They're still going to need the same training as if they didn't have that construction. So I'd say it takes about 8 to 12 months. Don't worry about no background. In the beginning of this, I gave you some examples of people. What did I list? 30 or 40 examples, Chris? Before you told me I mentioned enough. We get hired every day, and it's irrelevant in your background. I like to use Daniel Bosu because he didn't even graduate high school, and we got him hired at JP Morgan Chase, and that says a lot. Plus, he was 20 years old with no life experience whatsoever. But then again, we get people hired every day. But it's going to take about 8 to 12 months. Now, Kendall, I know that may seem long, but it's really, really short. And I want to show you why that is so short. A cloud architect earns as much as a physician or an attorney. And I can tell you, I know all about this because I used to practice internal medicine. And when you go to school for 8 years and you have $300,000 of debt, only to earn less money than a cloud architect does on average, you're going to think 8 to 12 months is kind of short. Likewise, a lawyer takes on at least $300,000 of debt and also earns less than the average cloud architect. So Kendall, it'll take you about 8 to 12 months to get hired inside of a program. And we'd love to work with you. When you tell me you're hired, we'll celebrate it like we celebrate every other cloud hired. Chris, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, definitely. So our course is, it's a combination of self-paced and live training. So that's why it's kind of hard to pinpoint an exact thing. We're not a boot camp meal. We don't have a 16-week training that you're done and good luck. We hope you get a job, and if if the boot camp mill offers a job guarantee, then it's in their best interest to get you out as quickly as possible and get you the quickest job they can get you, which is usually the lowest paying job they can get you. That's not how we operate. So we're not going to push you out after a certain period of time. We're not going to push you into a job just to say that we got you a job.
Never.
We're not going to push you into that $40,000 job to say we got you a job.
Never. We're
specifically going to tell you, you probably shouldn't apply for that. If that's not what you want, you shouldn't apply for it. That's the difference between what we do and what others are doing. We have the grace to know that it's not going to take 16 weeks to get you where you need to be. It's going to take you longer, especially if you're working full time, or if you have a family emergency come up or a medical emergency come up, that knocks you out for 9 weeks. What happens then? Well, with us, you pick right back up when you're able to. So hopefully that answers your question, Kendall. We'd really love to have you join the program, have you and have you share your cloud hired success when you've done so, like so many others have. Let me get back up here. We did the definition of a good cloud architect, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. How can you get started as a cloud security specialist having a background in InfoSec without having to first get a cloud generalist job? So let's assume we're talking about an architect, maybe?
I don't want to make that assumption. So, Ebilclis, could you tell us what you mean? Do you mean a cloud security engineer? Do you mean an offensive security engineer? Do you mean a defensive security engineer? Or do you mean a cloud security architect? Because there's no such thing as a cloud security specialist. So let me answer it as a cloud architect under the auspices that Chris said, because I get a lot of people cloud security architect jobs. It has nothing to do with your background. I'm going to tell you right now, zero. It has to do with your training. When people have a background in cloud security, meaning they've been setting up firewalls, that does not teach them how to design at all, zero. Learning construction versus learning to design are different. It doesn't make you a better pilot if you were an airplane mechanic first. It also doesn't make you a better pilot if you were a flight attendant first. The flight attendant, the airplane mechanic, and the pilot all have different jobs, all equally important. How about the person at the reservation desk? You're not going anywhere unless you get a reservation. Their job's equally important too, but planning reservations also doesn't make you a better pilot. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So the key is getting the right training. For the architect, it's a combination of getting the right business, and it's also getting a combination of the right tech, which is design, not configuration. Now, it also has a lot to do with your branding. Alonzo's not here, which is kind of sad because I would have him talk about this. But we hired Alonzo, and he's like a brother to me, kind of a brother to Chris too. But Alonzo and I are like so crazy in the same way we drive Chris kind of batty because we're like the same person. And the reality is it's brand building. Most of our students never apply for a job. Like there are people that want to know which websites to go to and where do they look for the jobs. I'm going to tell you right now, if your branding is right, you're never going to look for a job. You're not. The world's going to come to you. The only job that I ever applied to, I can tell you right now, my wife, when I was in Dubai, was tired of me traveling and she applied to Cisco Systems for me. And when I was in Reading, UK, I got a call from Cisco and they're like, we've received your application and we'd like to talk to you. I'm like, what application? They're like, the application you sent 2 weeks ago. And I realized about a new Mac and my wife applied for a job to me. So the key is build the right brand and the world will come to you. And why is this so important? Why do we teach our students how to build the right brand? See, if you're new and you have no experience, HR is going to auto-reject you. If you use our brand building methodologies, which our students use, you'll get 10 to 15 interview requests per week. And when you get these interview requests, they're going to send you directly to the hiring manager. So the hiring manager can check and see if you're competent. Nobody cares how much experience you have. That HR does because they don't know how to gauge your ability. They care how good you are. Who do you want? A doctor that's been practicing for 50 years that kills 80% of his patients? Or someone that just graduated school but is a genius and can cure you? You want the genius. You don't care about the experience. You care about the competency. Hiring managers hire based upon competency. But guess what? They don't just hire about competency. They hire based on the following things. Can they trust you? Most people lie on the interview. It's all over. Do they like you? Do you communicate well? Do you know what you know and know what you don't know? Are you energetic, enthusiastic, passionate? Hey, what do you want? Hold on. Let me go take a picture of my butt. Let me post it on Instagram. Would you hire me? I wouldn't. I'd escort you out the building for wasting my time. You know, next thing, are you enthusiastic or passionate? Do you raise the energy on the room? Look, we have someone on our team, her name is Chow. We call her Super Chow. She walks in the room, she just talks, and we all have 10 times more energy. And those are the things that employers are looking for. They're looking for team players because they know nothing's good as ever created by one person. And they're also looking for people that go above and beyond. So build your brand. Next, you've got to learn security design. And we teach it to all of our students. That's why we have people like Delroy Batt, who got his first cloud security architect job with zero experience whatsoever. No experience in InfoSec, experience working on ambulances and EMT. Now, why? We taught him design. So that's design is not like configuring a firewall. Design is determining what the demilitarized zone strategy should look like, what the organization's security policy will look like, who needs to be trained in what, anti-malware, anti-social engineering, anti-phishing. What should be the organization's enterprise-wide encryption strategy, encryption of the network, encryption of the storage. What type of identity and access management strategy should the organization use, for example? What type of firewalls are going to provide the security environment? How many layers of firewalls? Do we need intrusion detection? Do we set up some type of event-based security? That's security architecture, and that's what we teach. So the key is get the right training, get the right branding, build the right resume, and really master the interview. And that's the secret, one of the reasons we're so successful. We provide such good interview training that when it comes down to it, the interview is 50% your technical abilities, and the other 50%, your soft skills, the way you communicate, the way you present yourself. In fact, you give me two people, one is a 10 out of 10 on tech and they don't have the communication skills, and one's a 6 out of 10 with great communication skills. We hiring managers think the 6 out of 10 is better than the 10 out of 10. Why can I tell you this? If the 10 out of 10 can't explain what's in their head, guess what? You don't know how smart they are or not. And they often lose the job to people that are less good. And that's why, a lot of engineers are like, why does this person who knows nothing earn $40,000, $50,000 more than me? It's because they can communicate it well and impress the hiring manager. So the key is build the right brand, get the right knowledge, learn how to interview properly. With the right training, you're going to get it. So I want you to understand this. The last one point, doctors don't have experience before they get their first job. Airplane pilots don't get their experience before they have their first job. Lawyers don't have experience before they get their first job. They get education. And this is the kind of job that you can only get through the proper education. You're not going to get it based upon years and years and years of experience unless you get lucky. And I don't believe in luck, and I don't believe in hope as a management strategy. I believe in making things happen. And we could easily get you a cloud security architect job, but it's going to take all of that. That's why we do it every day. Chris, you can go to the next one. Ben, are there any entry-level positions? Ben, why would you ever want an entry-level position? So let me kind of make this clear to you. It's going to be harder to get an entry-level position than it would be to get a cloud architect or a cloud engineering job. So why would you waste your time? Now, Ben, I'm also going to tell you the following. Entry-level positions are going away. For example, a cloud admin, entry-level position. First, there's a bazillion and one people that don't have the right training that got certified that are competing for it, which means it's going to be the hardest jobs to get because there's too much competition. Secondly, the pay is super low. And if I get somebody their first job at $170,000 a year, which is pretty average for us, and somebody else gets an entry-level job, a sysops job at $60,000 a year, our people are already earning a couple $100,000, an extra $100,000 per year. Well, over the 5 years that somebody would be in an entry-level position, our people already earned $500,000 more. Now, secondly, ChatGPT can write code, write a Terraform script, write a CloudFormation script. That is the new entry-level position. They're going to use ChatGPT and other things. Architects can't be replaced with ChatGPT. And the more ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence things that we're talking about, the more architects are needed. And obviously, we teach our architects how to use that and how to be better in their careers. But for those engineers and entry-level people, they're done. In fact, we actually predict, and we've been in a lot of magazines, everything from Forbes to I can't even begin to describe TechStrong TV last week, but we've been in about 15 major media outlets like German Business Daily, and I mean big ones. And all of it's about entry-level positions are gone. They're going away. So Ben, don't train for an entry-level position. Train for a senior position. Now, when I started many years ago, I was told you must be help desk or network admin before you get your first network engineering job. I laughed at those people. I told them I was going to be a network engineer. 20, 30, 40, 50 people told me I couldn't make it happen. Ben, I wasn't hired as a network engineer. I was hired as a senior network engineer. In 1993, I had an $85,000 network engineering job. I was earning $200,000 a year by like 1995, 1996 as a network engineer. And that's like $500,000 in today's money. And I did it because I didn't start at the bottom. Why start at the bottom? Start at the top. So, Ben, that's why we have real education. The reason people get an MBA is so they don't have to work at McDonald's. They can have a better job. Don't look for an entry-level position. There's too much competition. There's technology that can actually replace you and will be replacing you and is already replacing you. Why do you think Microsoft laid off 10,000 software engineers and at the same time spent $10 billion on ChatGPT? And it's coming. So Ben, I'm even going to say, I don't even recommend cloud engineering positions in the US, and here's the reason why. And Ben, here's the other reason I don't want you to do entry-level positions. Why would an organization hire an entry-level person in the US? Now, I want you to think what an entry-level person is. Basic hands-on tasks. Now, $100,000 in the US is equivalent to $28,000 in India when adjusted for the standard of living. Do you know how many people I can hire with a master's degree in Lagos, Nigeria? They're highly educated, highly smart, highly motivated, and how many capable? It could be Cape Town, South Africa. It could be Bangalore, India. It could be Karachi, Pakistan. And that's where your entry-level jobs are, because it doesn't matter where your configuration is done on the cloud. If it's California, if it's Cambodia, if it's Cape Town, the Cayman Islands, Cameroon, or Chicago or California, it's irrelevant. So figure your entry-level positions are going to be outsourced to the developing nations where we've got a lot of people super hungry, super motivated to work, and it's going to save businesses money, and they're going to invest more money in the architects, because now that the technology is there, now artificial intelligence is there, we don't need those entry-level people anymore. They can be replaced by tech. But now we've got all this complicated technology, and who can help the business leverage this technology to make their business better? The cloud architect, the enterprise architect, the business architect, and that's where the new jobs of the future are. So don't waste your time chasing the bottom. Chase the top, get to the top, have a much better life.
Right. All right. Yeah. So just kind of goes back to the thing that I said earlier about the don't look at the internship job descriptions or jobs. Don't look at the entry level. Look at what you want. What do you want to do? What is your goal? And if your goal is to become a cloud architect, become a cloud architect. If your goal is to become a cloud engineer, become a cloud engineer. So let's see. Does having an AWS security specialty cert really open opportunities in this field?
Ellie, the AWS Advanced Security and AWS Advanced Networking are two of the biggest wastes of your time in the entire world. They offer no career potential. They offer no security training. They offer no value whatsoever. Now, the CISSP does offer some value, and it will boost your brand. The CEH Master, not the standard CEH, yes, that will actually provide some benefit. And while I don't recommend the CCSP, I recommend the CISSP. The CCSP, or the specific cloud one, makes sense. Why do I recommend the CISSP over the CCSP, even though the same company has both? There's no such thing as a single cloud. It's always going to be a hybrid cloud and hybrid multi-cloud in today's world. And the CISSP is a stronger, more respected certification. But the only AWS certifications I would even recommend are the Certified Solution Architect Professional, if you want to be an architect. If you want to be a DevOps engineer, there's an AWS DevOps Professional that's got some meat to it as well. For the most part, I wouldn't waste my time with any of those other certifications. And that's why we say for like a cloud network architect, we like a Cisco Certified Network Professional versus an AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. And here's why. The CCNP is a good 10,000 pages of reading to get through. The AWS Advanced Networking is about 300 pages. These AWS things aren't there. Now, Eli, here's the other reason. In the AWS Advanced Security, they're going to pitch the AWS stuff, which no business can really use. AWS WAF is good to secure my catcindy.com website, but it's not going to secure an enterprise-grade customer. And the reason it won't is when you get hacked with AWS WAF, you're done. You're hacked. If you're using a Palo Alto, a Cisco, a Fortinet, or a Checkpoint firewall, they're adaptive. The firewall senses something's wrong, and it creates new rules automatically on demand. So don't waste your time on any AWS certifications that are advanced anything. They're a complete waste of your time in every stretch of the imagination. But if you're looking for a good security certification, we recommend the CISSP. And if you don't have the requisite experience, you can still take the exam all the time. And you'll just be considered an associate until you've got the requisite experience, and then you'll get the full CISSP certification. But the managers know you passed the real exam and didn't waste your time on one of these AWS things.
All right. In the increasingly powerful AI, what is cloud AI architect in the future? And with regards to AI, what changes are being made to your program?
We'll give you some, but not others. So with regards to powerful AI, it's going to change everything. And it's going to be a cloud architect, not a cloud AI architect.
Right.
The cloud architect makes the business better with any technology. I don't care if it's an ICE machine or artificial intelligence. Now, if you become an AI architect, which you could, I want you to make it very clear to you, you have very limited career upside. And here's why. AI is just a tool. Do you want to be great as a construction worker with a hammer, or do you want to be a great construction worker? If I was going to be a construction worker, I want to be great. Now, AQC, imagine a doctor that only knew pills made by Pfizer, azithromycin or Zithromax. They'd be a horrible doctor. They only knew one part of the tool. So kind of keep it in the back of your mind that for the people that are going to focus on AI architects, their career is going to be so limited and a waste of their time. Now, the cloud architect is like an enterprise architect that focuses on the big picture. So it's up to you, AQC, where you want to take your career. You can either be a digital transformation specialist and earn $500,000 plus a year. And I can show you some examples of cloud architects that are earning $500,000 a year like nothing. If you want, I'll get some of my printouts from what do you call it? Not salary.com. Who's the other place? Glassdoor.com. And it's different because the people that have the business acumen to tune the business are the ones that are going to be there. So I always say you can be a cloud security architect at 180, or you can be an enterprise cloud architect at 500, 600, 800. Where do you want to be $1,000 per year? What changes are being made to our program? Our program changes constantly. And every time there's a new tool that our cloud architects can use to improve business performance, we add it in. AI is just one of many things that are added in. But that's the key. It's really the cloud architect just has more opportunities because AI exists. Now, AQC, the AI basically was one of the reasons we stopped selling our cloud engineering program 6 months ago. Because we knew the advances of AI plus the challenging economy would mean cloud engineers would be losing their jobs. More jobs for architects and less jobs for cloud engineers. Same thing for DevOps engineers. We're not going to recommend that either, because the AI can write the scripts to do half of what DevOps engineers can do. So our program constantly gets better. You know, right now we've got 2 PhD business school professors. We've got a VP over at Endenia that helps teach. We've got me that teaches with my 25 years experience. We've got Alonzo with 32 years marketing executive experience. We have Chris with 15 plus years, major operations and HR experience. I get executives from companies pop in all the time. We occasionally get people pop in from the cloud providers and talk to our class. Our program is always adapted to make sure our students get the best and highest paying jobs. The idiosyncrasies in our program, obviously we can't talk about unless people are our students. People try to copy what we do every day, but they fail. And then we retrain them after the other people because they don't know or have the ability to be architects because they never were architects. In fact, AQC, if I tell you that at least 3 people a week that have courses actually reach out to me and ask them to teach them cloud computing, it's the biggest joke. So we block them, and obviously they don't train people that have courses on cloud computing. But that's the sad reality. People are making training on things they don't understand. But the training is in our program, and it gets better every day. Chris, you have any things to add there?
I don't really have much to add there, except I'm afraid this is the type of thing that scares me, where I think people are just using AI to as a hot word.
Yeah.
As a hot word. I mean, there might. Yeah, I agree with you on the if there is a role as an AI architect, you're going to and you work towards that as a goal, you're limiting yourself. It's the same as if you wanted to be an automobile engineer, like designing automobiles, and you only focused on how to design sedans or how to design sports cars. I mean, that could be an ultimate thing as your career progresses, that ends up being something that you specialize in, but that's probably not, that shouldn't be your starting path. Like your starting path should be, okay, I'm going to learn how to design cars. I'm going to learn how to design cloud solutions. And then as part of your lifetime as an architect, maybe you then become the go-to person for AI implementation in business solutions, maybe. But I wouldn't recommend starting off with that as it's not like security or network, which is inherent in everything. So, you can focus on security and networking as a specialty because that's inherent in every single aspect of every single design, every single day, everywhere. Like, it doesn't work without networking, and nobody's going to use it without security. So, so eventually, maybe way down the road, AI will be to that point, but I don't think it is anywhere in the near future. I do like this next question. What do you think of a master's in science and digital transformation? If it's from a college of business, yes.
Well, and I'll give you my perspective on it.
If it's
I wouldn't do an MS anything in digital transformation. I would get an MBA. And here's the problem. All these digital transformation courses and masters in cloud computing, they're all taught by techies. And what do techies not know? Business. So like Chris said, if it's taught by a business school, yeah, it's going to be fine. But if it's taught by a business school, it's not going to be an MSc. It's going to be an MBA of some kind with a specialty in digital transformation in most cases. Once you're getting into Masters of Science, they're there. So if it comes out of a business school, and there are some business schools that do offer an MSc, I think it's fine. I'd rather see you get an MBA. It's going to be more valuable and useful to you because it's going to be purely focused on business. But only if it's offered by a business school, like Chris was saying. Because otherwise, I want business school professors. And the reason I want to learn from business school professors and not tech people is the following. If you go to salary.com, and I checked it just yesterday for a document I'm writing, the average salary of someone with business acumen is $533,000 per year. Now, this is exactly in line what we're seeing with architect positions. For example, a cloud architect, principal cloud architect, which I was in less than 2 years at Google, earns $508,000 a year on average. A principal architect at Microsoft earns $379,000 on average. A principal architect at AWS earns $372,000. A senior director at Palo Alto basically earns about $560,000 a year. A senior director at Cisco is about $550,000 a year. A senior director at IBM is about $400,000 to $500,000 a year. And that's just an example. So those are jobs with lots and lots and lots. If you really want to build your career, make sure you get the business acumen. If this is coming from a business school, great. But if it's coming from an engineering school, keep that in the back of your mind.
And if the degree is being offered by an institution that is not in Europe, ask them why it's a Master's of Science, not a Master's of Business Administration.
Yeah.
European universities are more likely to offer Masters of Sciences versus the others. It's just historically, that's Masters of Science are more prevalent over there, or MSCs, whatever you'd like to refer to it as. But yeah, if it's an American institution, ask them what makes this a Masters of Science versus a Masters of Business Administration. You may find that the curriculum is very much similar to a Masters of Business Administration, but it's some red tape that they had to go through, and they wouldn't let the administration may not have let the department create a new master's program unless it was a Master's of Science or something like that. You never know what the bureaucracy has in place. So ask questions about it, find out about it. But if it's not offered by a business school or a business college at the university, take a third or fourth look at it before you do it. Look at an MBA before that.
Chris, can we take one out of order? Because I think it's important for everybody to hear, and it's coming from Livingston. And he's asking about recession-proofness, because I think it's very important.
I agree. So Livingston says, which is more recession-proof, security or cloud architecture, given the current climate? Silicon Valley Bank, oh boy. So we'll just answer the first part.
I'm going to answer the first part. There is no comparison in the recession-proofness between architecture and engineering careers. Here's the thing. Architects get hired in recessions, engineers get fired in recessions. So I want you to understand the difference a little bit. An architect is a solution provider. Most of what we do, architects, is meet with a client, ask about their business, and design a solution and sell it back to them. So as an architect, Livingston, we bring money into our companies, which means we generate revenue. In a recession, what do people need? Revenue. So whether we're helping an organization save money, they're hiring us, or whether we're making money for our customers, they're still hiring us. And that's why in this recession, and we're in a recession now, an unofficial one, our architect students are getting hired every day while engineers are getting laid off. Of course, I had an engineer get hired today, but that's because of all the business acumen and leadership and communication. So architects are always in demand in good times and bad times. Now, in bad times, expenses get cut, marketing people get cut, HR people get cut, engineers get cut, and truth be told, security people get cut too. Because when a company's trying to survive, they're going to be less likely, no matter what the situation is, to worry about cybercrime. They're just going to pay their insurance bill. And if they get hacked, they'll use the insurance to cover it. So there's no comparison whatsoever between the recession-proofness of a sales job or an architect job versus any tech job. None whatsoever. Now, cloud security architects, like we train as well as part of our Cloud Architects Career Development Program, they're still in high demand because they're selling stuff and they're generating revenue. So I'm making it very clear. 6 months ago, we stopped taking new students. We stopped selling our engineering program for two reasons. We knew a recession was coming, and we knew artificial intelligence was going to take away these jobs. Now, artificial intelligence is going to take away some of the security jobs too, unless they're architecture jobs. Why? We can use ChatGPT, and that's just one of the many forms of artificial intelligence, to write an Nmap script, for example, to go do some penetration testing. We can use ChatGPT to help us write other scripts that we could use to both secure our environment or break into environment. So ChatGPT is free, or $20 a month. Cloud security engineers cost money. Cloud architects make money. Always architect. And that's why I've never been laid off in 25 years. I was at a company that did 13 layoffs. I was never laid off. I was at companies that did 10 layoffs too. After that, I was never laid off. No, I wasn't laid off because I contributed to the company. But I got out of all those expense roles like engineering roles and moved into roles like architecture where there was sales. So architecture roles are the most recession-proof jobs out there, except for sales reps. Those two are very recession-proof.
All right. So let's see here. Let me get back up here in order. I want to get the interview training and work remote from Nigeria. Is it possible?
Very possible. We have it all the time. We just had Porsche got hired in, was it in Johannesburg or Cape Town, South Africa? Nigeria is even better because there's actually, it's like the Silicon Valley of Africa. So yeah, there's lots of possibilities for remote work in Nigeria. We've got a tremendous number of Nigerian students as well. It is harder, I'm going to tell you that right now, but it's totally possible. You just have to be great. You got to go out there and build a really great brand. A lot of incredible people, a lot of smart people, and a lot of highly motivated people in Nigeria. And we work with a lot of them.
Any page or resources you recommend to look for cloud architect jobs remotely?
I recommend building your brand and having the world come to you. Our students don't apply. Almost none of them. You know, I hear horror stories of people, I applied to AWS for 16 times and I finally got hired after 7 years. I've got people that were working as waiters that were hired by, as waiters serving food that were hired by AWS in 6 months. The key is build the brand. So if you have brand training and you build a good brand, people come to you. Do you have to go to a website to go search where you can buy Apple stuff, or you to go to Apple because the brand is so strong? You just go look for it. So look, there's always places you can go to like Dice or Monster.com or Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter. And every country is going to have some as well. And you can always look there. But I recommend you learn how to build your brand. I had to remove Cloud Architect from my my LinkedIn profile, because I would get 15 to 50 interview requests per day. With every LinkedIn post that I made, poof, I had people trying to interview me. And if I was looking for a job, that'd be great. But honestly, I can't run a company and deal with that many recruiter requests per day. So I had to remove it and put things like CEO and thought leader because I wasn't looking to be recruited that much. Now people just try to sell me stuff, and that's neither here nor there. But so yeah, you can look at any of those sites. But more importantly, Eli, build a brand, make the world come to you. Be like Coca-Cola. No matter where you're at, there's people that want it. And they're promoting sugar water, which is bad for you, but still, people want it because they've got this big Coca-Cola brand. How about you? Any thoughts there, Chris?
No, you covered that one pretty succinctly. Can you tell us about the skills needed for a good DevSecOps cloud engineer?
I am not a DevSecOps engineer, so I want to pre-qualify with that. And I don't recommend DevOps engineering careers for a lot of reasons. But the people that are going to be in DevSecOps first have to be very good software engineers, very good. Then they need to be very good with software engineering tools, like the DevOps tools such as Jenkins, Spinnaker, and all the other ones on and off the cloud. And then after that, they need to be very good with application security and code checks and those kind of things. Because DevSecOps isn't really security. It's more about application security of those kind of principles. So it's those kind of things. And if you're in Nigeria, that might actually not be a bad career, because if I was looking to outsource, I'd be looking to outsource to India or Nigeria or Cameroon or South Africa, because we can get a really good cloud engineer or DevOps engineer at a relatively low cost on the international scheme. But that's not really my world. I'm not an expert on DevSecOps. I'm more of an expert on architecture careers, helping people earn a couple $100,000 more per year by teaching them the skills to earn more money in tech, helping people win the interview, get hired, and get an extra $100,000 a year, become a world-class architect. But we stay away from the engineering careers for the most part because we don't feel very strongly about them in the current environment. But because you are in Nigeria, when the jobs get lost in the US, the UK, Canada, and Australia, they will be looking to places like Nigeria. And for that, I'd recommend looking at what Sandeep Das does. He's got a good YouTube channel, and he provides a lot of good DevOps engineering information. We focus on architecture and the most elite careers. But, having said that, if you do have an interest there, I would go to Sandeep Das.
All right. Milland, is accent neutralization really needed as a soft skill for an architect?
Absolutely not.
No.
We all have accents. When I go to England, and I used to go every week, I had an accent. They viewed me as a Yank. And when I went to Dubai, I also had an accent. When I go to Australia, I also have an accent. Now, having executive presence, serious. Having elite communication skills, serious. But, having an accent, no. In fact, honestly, when I speak to someone with an accent, and I'm an executive, and I know a lot of executives feel this way, we actually feel like we're dealing with somebody better. And here's the reason. If I'm dealing with someone that's got a Russian accent, for example, and they're speaking to me in English, they're now speaking to me in a language that's not their own. If their language is precision, I'm thinking they're extra smart. When I speak to someone whose primary language is Hindi, and now they've got beautiful English with an accent, I'm like, wow, this person's in another language that's not their own. Now, obviously, India, for example, being a British colony, lots of people speak very good English, but still, the point is it's in a second language. So accents, we all have an accent. I've got probably 30% of my students that have been hired have Nigerian accents. And guess what? The world loves it. Why? Because they're great architects. Who cares where the person's from? Who cares about their accent? When I go to Greece and I speak Greece, and my family has a house in Greece, and guess what? When I speak Greek, I have an American accent. They always say, where are you from? But I'm speaking to you in Greece. They're like, no. Where are you from? Are you from America or Canada? Because they hear my accent. Accent is not a problem. Like proper communication skills is necessary. Proper grammar matters. But accents, no, all good.
Yeah, I agree. I think the I think the most important part of communication is your clarity and ability to communicate what you're trying to say. So it doesn't matter how it's said so much as if it's clear what you're trying to say, what you're trying to communicate. So yeah, trust me, I'm from Mississippi. I talked to somebody from California and they probably think I have the most backwards accent in the world. I actually get asked a lot of times if I'm from Australia. It's like, I'm from Mississippi. I don't know how you think I'm from Australia, but okay. Let's see. When interviewing for a cloud architect, how can one maximize their experience at Go Cloud Architects and convince the hiring manager that their experience makes them capable of doing the job? That's a good question. I like that.
It's a great question. So, I mean, if you're in our program, you'll be taught how to do that. Like we just did that in the class very recently, but it's very clear. You tell the hiring manager what you've done. Our students may, for example, have designed architectures for global banks. Our students have designed architectures for organizations that have 20,000 remote locations. Our students have designed how you would design a social media organization from scratch. Our students can describe how they, for example, have done investment banking firms versus big banks. Our students can describe how they've designed architectures for healthcare organizations. Additionally, our students can design how they've worked in large teams to design global architectures. Our students can talk about the way they presented architectures because more students present on panels. Our students can talk about how they sell to C-level executives. Our students can talk about, designing, presenting, and selling architectures and everything that does in the real job. And our students call us every day. Our students often can talk about contributing to big projects, such as writing books. For example, we've had many of our students help write a book for the, the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. The other thing that we write a lot about, for example, is we have a lot of our students volunteer with a company that we're very closely affiliated with, Cloud Heroes Africa, my good friend Alphonse Shine. We've got a lot of our students helping to teach in that program, which further builds their brand. But the reality is, our students are so heavily recruited, and there's a couple of reasons why. I was in over 100 major magazines and newspapers, as well as TV stations and radio interviews last year. And we're not talking about basic publications. We're talking about Forbes, Investors Business Daily, Yahoo Finance, MSN. We're talking about Information Week, DevOps Magazine, for example. Even though architecture and DevOps have nothing to do with each other, we still find ourselves in DevOps magazines, data center magazines, Informa, Tech Republic, Tech Radar, Tech Strong TV. We're constantly on TV. So because of that, our students are really heavily recruited as well, plus the brand building we do for them. But if you're a student, you've got some questions in class, we can go into it deeply.
All right. Varesh says Salesforce Cloud, Google Cloud, which is easy to learn.
Varesh, you're going to get my answer that I like to give anytime I get this question. Nothing worthwhile is easy to learn. If your goal is looking for what's easiest to learn, I'd suggest a new career that's not involved in technology. I want you to be great. For people that are concerned with what's easiest to learn, I recommend careers working at McDonald's, serving food, things like that, because anything worthwhile is going to be challenging. Now, I wouldn't recommend anybody learn Salesforce Cloud or the Google Cloud. Google Cloud represents less than 10% of the entire cloud market share. The Google Cloud is losing money, and it's even questionable whether the Google Cloud will continue to exist in the future. The AWS Cloud is the primary cloud to learn. The Azure Cloud is a close second. The Oracle Cloud is coming up strong. And, Oracle is probably in the best position for healthcare right now, and Oracle also owns the largest database in the world. So the Oracle Cloud is very positioned in the enterprise. Google Cloud, nobody uses it. And learning it is not going to really give you any major advantage. Salesforce is far more of a customer relationship management tool than anything else. And again, that's just part of cloud architecture. It's not anything that I would encourage anybody to spend their time learning. I would encourage you to learn the cloud. If you truly know the cloud and you learn the cloud properly, like the way we teach it, it doesn't matter if it's an IBM OpenStack cloud, a Nutanix cloud, a Dell cloud, a Cisco cloud, the Microsoft cloud, the AWS cloud, it's all the same. Virtual machine is just a virtual machine. Now, AWS makes a silly marketing term, EC2. Google makes a silly marketing term called Compute Engine Instance. Azure calls it a virtual machine. Oracle calls it a virtual machine. VMware calls it a virtual machine. Guess what? It's the same thing. It's like when you drive a car, learn how to use the steering wheel, and it works on all cars. Now, object storage is another example where the marketing teams have had their way with taking something simple and making it complicated. If you know object storage, it doesn't matter if it's provided by IBM, Dell EMC. It doesn't matter if it's AWS's S3 or Microsoft's Blob or Google's Cloud Storage. Who makes up these terms? But it's the same thing. So nothing good is easy to learn. Nothing easy is worthwhile. That's why a cloud architect on average earns $200,000 a year, which is more than a doctor. It's not because it's a simple career. So if your goal is simple, I don't recommend you get involved in any technology career. I recommend you do something very simple and service-oriented, such as serving food. If you want a good career, focus on learning the best and put your heart, your mind, and every effort into it, and you'll be there. But nothing good comes to what is easy to learn. It's all challenging, because if it was easy to learn, everybody would do it, and when everybody has the same skill, it becomes a low-paid commodity.
Agreed. I did.
I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to help you.
Well, no, it's. I'm actually trying to pull up something right now. I did a survey of some of our people in the program, and I asked what makes people successful. I'm trying to pull up some of these responses. It just kind of ties right into what makes some people successful. People that are dedicated, show up, put in the work, don't give up. They're confident, passionate, driven, know what they want, stick to their plan, and concentrate on the work. That's just like the first handful of responses. None of those are indicative of something that's easy.
No.
So, yeah.
Chris, another dangerous question just popped into there. If we can go out of order, it's from Malind when he asks about DevOps and architecture.
I'm trying to, yeah. There's actually one before that that's just as dangerous. So,
okay, let's get to the dangerous ones, and we'll get back to the other ones.
Yeah.
And Malind, this is very important.
They go together, so I'm going to do them back to back. Do we need to learn system design and software architecture? And is DevOps a must skill for cloud architect?
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say, I'm going to touch the DevOps one first.
Okay.
Malind, if you learn DevOps and put it on your resume, you will not be hired as an architect. We have it all the time. There's a couple of really bad certification providers that tell people to do a SysUp certification, a DevOps associate certification, a developer certification along the way. And here's what happens, Malind. These are all different careers. And when you want a cat, you get a cat. When you want a dog, you get a dog. When you want an architect, you're looking for a business executive that knows tech. When you see a DevOps engineer, you think of a super techie that hides behind a computer all day. Both fine careers, but they're completely opposite. So Malind, we had a great student. His name was Arun. He had a DevOps, a SysOps certification, and developer certification. And he kept going on interviews, and nobody would hire him. And I said to him, show me your resume. And he had all this DevOps nonsense on his resume. And I said, would you like to become a DevOps engineer, Arun, or would you like to be a cloud architect? Tell me, because I can help you get each one, but I need to know what you want. He said, I want to be an architect, silly. Why am I in your program? I said, so Arun, imagine if you were applying for a physician job and you had doctor, dog walker, babysitter, flight attendant, nail salon tech, and waiter. But I view you as a doctor. And he said, of course not. I said, that's what happens when you have DevOps on your resume. You're applying trying to apply for a job as an executive, and everybody's looking at you as a techie. You can't do it. So Malind, do not learn DevOps if you want to be an architect. An architect designs, presents, and sells. And Malind, please take our course tonight, we're going to go over the exact things that an architect needs to know between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us on how to get your first cloud architect job webinar, because it's completely different. Now, let's flip that to the software design. Mandar, you need to learn end-to-end system design on how to improve business performance. Software architects learn software architecture. You need to learn end-to-end. So again, we're not software people. The cloud is a network and a data center. You need to master the network and the data center. Now, here's what it's going to be like in real life, Mandar. You're going to deal with something like this. You're going to get out and say, wow, this is big. Because small businesses don't hire cloud architects. When you get done that meeting, you're going to have to go back. You're going to find yourself an application architect that knows software engineer. You're going to find some DevOps engineers that know DevOps. You're going to find some big data architects. You're going to find some database engineers. You're going to find some cloud security architects, some cloud network architects, some IAM architects. And yes, that's outside of security. You're going to find some maintenance people or sysops and some cloud engineers, and you're going to collaborate for design. Mandar, there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The best architects are business executives with great communication skills, great leadership skills, great emotional intelligence, great sales, great executive presence, and they also know how to design things and how to build a great team. Mandar, watch what's going to happen. I'm going to try and be a super smart architect with Chris and watch his reaction, and then I'm going to be an elite architect second. Chris, I've been an architect for 25 years. I design your network, your security, your application, your database, and your big data. I did it all myself. Are you excited, Chris? Look at him.
That's kind of scary. So everything is all from you and nobody else's input. And
yeah, I did it all myself. I've been around for 25 years.
Nobody verified it, vetted it, tested it.
No. I got 25 years experience. Trust me. Now, Mandar, watch the second approach. Hi, Chris. It's Mike Gibbs. I'm the lead architect with Cisco Systems. You know, you have a pretty complicated design, and we want to make sure we can truly maximize the performance of your business systems. I want you to get the maximum return on investment. After our meeting, here's what I did. I took a team of 3 network architects, 2 security architects, 1 big data architect, 1 data scientist, 2 database engineers, 3 sysops engineers, 2 DevOps engineers, and 10 cloud engineers. Together, the team has over 500 years experience. We spent about 6 weeks full-time working on this architecture because we want to know this work. After this, my engineers did a proof of concept to make sure it was going to work, and I'm here with you. Chris, would you like to discuss this further?
Definitely. Let's keep talking.
So, Mandar, that's the thing. If you try to do it out yourself, the executives are going to laugh at you. This is a job that's architecture is a team sport. So focus on cloud architecture, and you're going to be doing great. To learn system design, but the business part is equally important. Fedaki, my Ethiopian friend, join me in Florida for some Kiftu and some Injir and some Durwat. It'll be a great time. Spoke to your student Doug yesterday, and he gave me some great info about the program. But Fedaki, it was nice seeing you in another meeting, and I hope to see you as a student someday. If you join the program and you get hired, you're going to fly out and have some Injera with me. I would love that, Fedaki. I got to tell you, I've got some sparrow around the house. I've got some Burberry spice. And my best friend, Ephraim, who's Ethiopian, was teaching me how to cook Ethiopian. And of course, there's a Queen of Sheba, which there is in most major cities. And when I go down there, Lo Jo and her sister have also been teaching me how to make Ethiopian food. But I'm not too good at it, so I need a little help. So I would love to get some Injera with you. Absolutely. Nijika, do we offer DevOps engineering as well? No, we train solution architects. We do not train engineers. We try to stay far. We were training cloud engineers, but we discontinued selling our cloud engineering program because we see a lot of engineering layoffs coming and a lot more architecture hiring. We also felt 6 months ago when we chose to reduce to stop selling our engineering course that artificial intelligence was going to be taking over many of the engineering jobs. So we never did DevOps because that wasn't our specialty, but we stopped our cloud engineering program and focused exclusively on the highest paid tech careers, like architecture, helping people earn more money in tech and helping them win the interview. No, if you've been fully trained in DevOps engineering, we can help you win the interview, but we don't do DevOps engineering training.
All right, so working as an AWS cloud architect for the last 2 years, total experience is 13 plus years. I have application development background. I don't have, I guess, possibly network or Linux background. Should I just learn it or also get certified?
Well, I don't really know what you mean you're working as an AWS architect. Are you working as a true architect? Were you designing, presenting, and selling things? Because if so, it'd be pretty tough if you didn't have a network and a data center background. Or are you having the title AWS Cloud Architect and you're doing engineering, which is common? So we would need to know that. Secondly, is what are your goals? And that's really the key. If your goals are moving to leadership, there's a different plan than if your goals are basically to move into more senior architect roles. I don't know what your goals are, and I never give recommendations without knowing goals, and here's the reason. If you said, Mike, which plane should I get on in the airport? I would say, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Bangalore? Do you want to go to Baminde, Cameroon? Do you want to go to Baltimore? Do you want to go to Boston? Do you want to go Bavaria? Do you want to go to Bulgaria? And if I don't know, then I don't know which planes or plane combinations to put you on. So you haven't really told me your goals. So before, I don't want to give you guidance without your goals. It's like a doctor prescribing a prescription without knowing the actual condition they're treating. So if you tell me your goals, I can happily help you.
All right, let's see. Worked as a test lead for 2 years with overall experience, 11 years in QA. Migrating to SAA, I'm guessing solution architect associate.
Yeah, that's
is a good option. Your feedback is highly appreciated.
So you didn't tell us what your goals are. So I want to make this really clear. Your background is completely meaningless. Your goals are completely meaningful. What you ate for dinner yesterday does not determine what you eat tomorrow. So as I mentioned, Delroy had 0 experience before he got his first job, and Balwinder was a stay-at-home mom before she got hired at Microsoft. And Victor was a college student before we got him a cloud architect job, and Jeffrey West was a geologist before we got him his first cloud architect job. And Jennifer was a mental health tech before we got her, or Alad, we just got him a senior solution architect job with no tech background. And I could go on for hours of the way this happened, and they never worked in tech before. You're telling me about your past and asking me what you should do for your future. I'm saying you can do anything you desire in your future. What would you like to do? That's the key. What do you want to do? If you were an airline mechanic and said, I want to be a pilot, I'd say get pilot training. Now, I'm going to tell you the solution architect associate training will not get you hired for anything. You're going to
let's say something. The way he's asking this is, it sounds like they're saying SAA as a job. So let's make it clear that SAA is not a job. That's not something to migrate to.
Yeah, it's a certification.
Right. So you don't migrate to the SAA as a role. So that's important. So the SAA is a tool, very small tool that could help you reach your goal. And what's the goal? So it may seem like we're not answering the question, but that's because we have to help you figure out how to ask the question. So what's your goal? The goal is not SAA.
Yes, that's
so
the
I
key.
just
What
wanted,
would you like to do?
Interject on that part.
Yeah, so tell us your goal career and we can easily help you get there. But your goal career is driven by what you desire to do, not what you used to do. I used to practice medicine. Then I became an architect. Now, if I was worried that I used to practice medicine, I'd still be practicing medicine. Chris was a general manager of a hotel. Darn good at it, I'm sure. I know exactly how meticulous he is. But he can do other things, and he's proven himself and done other great things. So the key is, Alonzo worked in marketing, but we trained him and he got him a job on the cloud. we liked him so much, we begged him to come back, and he's here helping my students every day. So that's the key. What do you want to do?
All right, so let's see. How about cloud architect job opportunity in India? They're there. Rupinder started his job last week.
We got Rupinder a job last week. We got Dibby a job there. We got Unmag a job. We've got more people jobs in India than I can count. Having the right training is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful career. And we've got students that we've trained every day. Remember, architecture and engineering are exact opposite careers, but we've got people getting hired in India almost every day of the week.
I'll start this one off from the HR side, and then I'll get your input. Kendall asks, would having long hair and facial hair play a part in getting a job? Would someone need to cut their hair? So there's a difference between having long hair and facial hair, and having unkempt hair and unkempt facial hair. So arguably, I'm sorry, everybody, I should not have come like this today. This is called scruff. This is not a beard. This is scruff. This is not appropriate for an interview right here. This stuff right here. Now, if it were fully grown and developed and mature, and you couldn't see my patchy skin under here, then that would be appropriate because it would be kempt. This many would classify as unkempt, unshaven. So now onto the hair. So I talked about the facial hair. Now we're going to move to the top. So again, long versus unkempt. If you have long hair, this goes for men and women, and anywhere in between. As long as it is kept professional, kept and neat and organized, then it's appropriate. You can't go to an interview with unbrushed matted hair or greasy matted hair. You can't. It's just not appropriate. I used to have long hair. I'll have to get a picture of me with my long hair up here and share it with all of you one day. And I've got pictures of a day where I was not professional and a day where I was unprofessional with the same long hair. I had, when I say long hair, I mean like long and curly. You pull the curls out and it goes down to my chest. But I used to have long hair. Again, it goes to the professional presentation of your hair. Just like hair is another aspect of your appearance. Mm-hmm. So that's my 2 cents on that from the HR side. Unfortunately, you may run into hiring managers who absolutely do not like long hair on men. Go figure. Do you want to work for that person? If you've got long hair, do you really want to work for them? No, but it's not likely that you'll come across them, but it is possible. You may come across somebody who absolutely hates people with beards. And if you've got a beard, you got a full-grown beard, keeping it trimming every day, and you're part of the beard club, and you run into somebody that absolutely hates beards, subconsciously or unconsciously, that might impact it. But majority of the time, overwhelming majority of the time, as long as it's presentable and professional and kept, you're in good shape. Mike?
Kendall, I'm going to give you both sides of this. As long as you're groomed, you should have no trouble getting a job that pays less than $200,000 a year as a cloud architect or a solution architect. Now, Kendall, I'm going to be honest with you. When you want to go from the $100,000 to the $800,000 jobs, it will matter. I'll give you an example myself. I was an enterprise architect with a good job and a great salary. I got a new manager, and my manager was a snob with clothing and other things. In fact, he told me he came from a blue-collar background because his parents were doctors, and that was his idea of blue-collar. Now, at the time, I was wearing Hugo Boss suits because they were good enough. And he always complained that there was something wrong, that I just never carried myself in the way he wanted. And I missed my flight. Well, I got a flight, and they lost my luggage. And the only thing that fit me off the rack was a Canali suit. And I, literally speaking, walked into a Nordstrom and spent $4,000 that day on a suit, shoes, and a belt. Because I wasn't wearing a suit when I traveled. I was traveling like I like to travel, in flip-flops, a t-shirt, and shorts. I live in Florida, and that's truly who I am. I bought that suit. All of a sudden, my manager's like, oh my God, you're amazing. My luggage, and I gave a presentation to an executive briefing. The next day, my luggage arrives. I put on my old suit. My manager says, Mike, you weren't what you were yesterday. I described it to my wife, who's got 170 IQ, who's so smart she learned Spanish in 2 days because or 2 weeks because her translators couldn't understand her thoughts. She says, dear, go buy 5 more of those suits. Kendall, I bought 5 more of those suits. 2 weeks later, I got an $88,000 raise. So at the basic level, it won't matter, but appearance does matter. Taller people earn more money than short people. So stand tall and do some yoga, have some good posture. Fitter people earn more money than fatter people. I didn't make up the rules. Pull your belly in, stand up with good posture if you've got, and you'll earn more. So people do judge a book by its cover. It's not right. I don't support it. I don't care what people look like. I just want people that are good. But not everybody is that way. So groomed will get you up $200,000 jobs easily. And you can have a nice beard. You can have long hair, but don't let it be scruffy. Don't let it look like it's going out. Don't have food in your beard. Make it look good and clean. Same thing for long hair. Have it clean and professional. But be you. If you can't be you, you're not going to be happy. I don't wear ties. I just don't. And I never do. And I hate it, so I don't. Did that affect me? Yes, it did. But I have to be me. I want to be me. So, Kendall, be yourself. Take pride in who you are. Deliver right by your company, your customers, and you'll always have a job. But if you feel it's holding you back and you can't seem to reach the top of your goals, you'll have to make a decision. Keep the long hair or trade the long hair in for a more office-oriented haircut. I can't tell you what's right. I personally think everybody should be themselves. But you can easily get a $200,000 job or less by being yourself. Above that plane, it's all about polish and finesse. And that's where it really matters. And that's where if it's not a Canali or an Armani suit, it's going to cost you. And that's where if your shoes are comfortable, it's going to cost you as well. But anything less than that, just go be you and enjoy yourself. But be you.
All right. All right. So I know role responsibilities typically differ between employers, but generally, is there a distinct difference between a cloud architect and solution architect in the cloud industry, or is it mostly in name?
There's actually a significant difference, and here's the thing. So a solution architect knows one cloud. Hey, I can design your AWS stuff for you, or I can design your Azure stuff for you. And guess what? 98% of customers only have more than one cloud, which means the only place where you can truly be a solution architect is AWS, Azure, or Google. Every other job is a cloud architect, regardless of the name. So a cloud architect can do multiple clouds. A solution architect does a single cloud. So a cloud architect, which is what we teach, can work as a solution architect, but a solution architect would need additional training to be a cloud architect. So it is a difference. The cloud architect is a better job. It's a substantially higher paying job. And that's why we train it. Why would you want to train to drive a Honda when you could learn how to drive all cars? Solution architect knows one car, cloud architect knows them all. So that's why we focus on cloud architecture courses versus solution architects. And we've got a lot of people working at AWS or Azure. We've got students worked at Google, IBM, Microsoft, Capgemini, Deloitte, Accenture, BBC, Apple. I can give you go. They're all at prestigious organizations, Barclays Bank, CDW, but they're cloud architects unless they work for one of the 3 cloud providers.
Now, the flip side of that question, when someone says solution architect or cloud architect, do they really know if they're talking about a solution architect or a cloud architect?
Yeah,
that's the fun That's the fun part of it, because so many people have used them incorrectly that you will hear someone talking about a solution architect job, and what they're saying is actually a cloud architect when they describe the solution architect, and vice versa. Unfortunately, that's the case. But Mike is 100% correct in that representation of what they actually are. Unfortunately, solution architect and cloud architect are getting really close to what's the difference between tissue and Kleenex.
Yes.
It's getting very, and that's unfortunate, because there is a distinct difference between a solution architect and a cloud architect. Yeah. Here's a good one. I am 51. Is it not too late to get into cloud architecture now? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Honestly, the 35 to 55 is the ideal age. Look, we get people as young as Daniel Bosu hired, who was age 20. And a few weeks ago, we got Sig Wolf hired at 63. We also got Bob Welch, who was 61, hired as a cloud security architect. It doesn't matter your age. Now, when you're young and you lack experience, now we got to show the person's energy, enthusiasm, and speed to learn. When you're 51, you got it all going for you. You've got lifetime experience and you've got wisdom. And you show the employer how your experience in life and potentially experience in business makes you better. So it does not matter your age. It matters, how you portray yourself. That photo that you got right there that you're showing and displaying, that's the kind of look that we're going for as the cloud architect. The thing that you wouldn't do at 20 that you would know to do at 51. It doesn't matter your age. We've made a video about it on our channel. It doesn't matter. I get people hired from 21 to 63, and I've got a student who's 65 right now. And when he actually applies for jobs, he is going to wow people. My student, Derek, is amazing. And any company in the world would be lucky to have him.
Thoughts on the CompTIA Security Plus?
Kevin, I have to remove CompTIA certifications from resumes every single day. And here's the reason. The CompTIA things are what's taught in a low-cost certification course or in college. And they set the precedent of, except for the government, I'll tell you where that example, and they set the precedent of junior level. Now, when we're dealing with a cloud security architect, nobody wants junior anything. So we have to remove the Security Plus. The only time I don't remove the Security Plus from a resume is when we're dealing with people that want to work for the US government. For some reason, the US government likes the Security Plus, but most hiring managers are going to look at that and say, no, I don't want that person. Let's move on to somebody with a CISSP. So I recommend you avoid any and all CompTIA certifications, the Cloud Plus, the Linux Plus, the silly Network Plus, which doesn't teach any networking, or the Security Plus, which doesn't teach cloud security. We've had a lot of people that come to us with it, and then we have to teach them security. There's no security covered in the Security Plus. That's what it's talking about. I hate saying it, but that's just the reality of what we've experienced. We have to remove it from people's resume. Scott McCormick, congratulations. Scott McCormick's one of our wonderful students. He was in our engineering program and he just got hired. And Scott McCormick, I responded to your LinkedIn Cloud Hired post today. I'm thrilled that you just got hired, but I'm even more proud and honored to know you. Scott, when you said we helped you get to your goal and you want to help mentor those that are still in the program get their first job, Scott, that made me proud. It made me thankful. Scott, not only am I honored and privileged to know you, I am so excited about your cloud architecture job. You're going to bring me to tears because every time one of you guys gets hired, it truly, truly, truly makes me happy. Scott, congratulations once again. I'm so thrilled we got to work with you. Thrilled. And Scott, it's been a real privilege of mine. And, Alonzo and I and Chris were already doing our happy dance this morning, which we do a happy dance a lot, but it never gets old. Congratulations, Scott.
Yeah, that was exciting. That's another way to start another week. I love it. Monday cloud hires are the best cloud hires. Those are always the best ones. My goal is to transition into the cloud industry, remote as a solution architect for my current role as a business analyst, maybe, for a transportation tech company. I got my CLF, CO1, and I am working to, I'm guessing, solution architect associate. Looking forward to learning more. Sorry, I made a lot of guessing on that one.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, you can definitely become a solution architect or a cloud architect. Those certifications will not help you get there at all. And here's the problem. Certification teaches the name of a service and how to configure that service. Guess what? As architects, we can't use those name of those services. We can't use 3/4 of what's in the certification, and we don't configure anything we design, and they don't teach that. So make sure you get the right training, and you're going to have a wonderful cloud architect job. Here's an example. DynamoDB covered all over the AWS certifications. Can't use it. Why can't I use it? It's proprietary and it doesn't work multi-cloud. Amazon Aurora, another ridiculous example of the trash that we have to throw away from the certification. How about Elastic Compute Service? Can't use that in multi-cloud either, so that's also trash. Now let's think of some more trash. AWS WAF, we're not going to use it because it's not strong enough. We're going to use next generation firewalls. So that's just a couple of examples. At least 50% of what's taught in that certification is 100% worthless garbage for us as cloud architects in today's world. Plus, the certifications don't teach you how to design the system, which is our job. They don't teach you the business acumen, the leadership, the sales, the executive presence, the emotional intelligence. So get the right training. Join us tonight on the How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, and we will tell you what the right training is. If you're with us, it's going to be inexpensive in our course. If you're not with us, you can get an MBA, you can get some executive coaching, and you can take some networking and data center design courses from companies like Cisco, which do a good job, companies like VMware. You're not going to get it on Udemy. You're going to need real good quality training. But we'll do it for about $50,000 to $100,000 less than it would cost you to do it. Join us on the free webinar tonight.
All right. And just to let everybody know that we will be wrapping up in about 10 minutes. We have a hard stop at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So we will be making a hard stop at 4 o'clock. So the next question. That was weird. What's the difference between a cloud infrastructure engineer and a cloud solution architect?
Major. A cloud architect is an executive that designs, presents, and sells a solution for an organization. An infrastructure engineer works on the network, meaning configures it and touches it. It's like the difference between a construction worker and a building architect. Totally unrelated. Solution architect will obviously earn 2 to 5 times more over the life of their career than an engineer, but engineering always pays less than architecture. But you got to determine, will you be happy designing, presenting, and selling solutions like a solution architect? Or do you want to be hands-on behind a computer all day, coding and configuring like an infrastructure engineer? It's up to you.
All right. Next is from Aisha. Love to have you here, Aisha. I'm a student at GCA, and all those who want to be a cloud architect, join the party. It's a wonderful program. Awesome mentors, friendly people. Mike, Chris, Alonzo are super. Love it. Thank you for the kind words. We really appreciate it.
Love it too, Aisha. Thank you so much, and we love working with you.
All right. So Saeed says, I want to start DevOps and cloud computing and recently completed my undergraduate. After a whole lot of research, I think entering as a data engineer is a good option. Is it a good start or not? Please answer. If you want to be DevOps, and you say DevOps and cloud computing. So I'm guessing we're going to say a DevOps cloud engineer. I'm not sure. But if that's what you want to be, then you need to find the necessary skills that are required for DevOps. I do not believe that data engineering is one of those.
Not even close.
I could be completely off here.
Not even close.
A little bit
Totally
experience
unrelated.
with data engineering, but gonna say I don't think they're in the same ballpark or same playing field, same environment, same arena, same anything. I do not think that will be beneficial to you at all. Mike made a recommendation earlier for someone. If he wants to speak to that again, I will let him. But we won't go too long on that one because DevOps isn't our specialty. So
DevOps is not our specialty. Sandeep Das covers DevOps. I would be very cautious with any data course. Unless you have a PhD in advanced statistics, you're going to most likely have major trouble. Even people that spend $30,000 to $50,000 on what do you call it? Data scientist boot camps often come to us so we can retrain them to actually become cloud architects because they can't get hired in the data engineering, data architecture, and data science field. So I'd be very cautious on that. Of course, I guess we can
I don't know if you happen to have this readily available. I know you got a screenshot. Is it okay for you to show us a job ad example of what to apply for when we finish this course?
Kevin, if you're in our course, you're not going to be applying for jobs. They're
Right.
going to be coming to you for jobs. And then if you're in our course, sure, we can show you some examples that you could. But Kevin, you got to remember why we don't encourage applying, why we recommend having people come to you. If you're brand new without experience, you're going to get auto-rejected from HR. When the employer comes to you, they've already decided they want you. So it's like being a stranger going up to a stranger in the bar asking for a date, or having the person already come to you and say, you look attractive to me, can I buy you a cup of coffee? The key is put the right bait out there and have somebody come to you versus you trying to go beg them to interview you. Hit HR, human resources, have an HR person that knows nothing about technology, look at your resume, or better yet, a machine, auto-reject you. So we don't apply for jobs. We had Robert Welch, for example, was a student, and he used to get 20 interview requests per day. Delray Batt never worked in tech, and he would get 10 to 20 interview requests per day too after our branding.
Kevin, I'm going to address you directly now. So you say you bought the course over the weekend and you're almost done with the branding. I just have to do the assignments now. So I don't know what branding you did. Branding is the branding work and assignments. If you happen to do branding based off of some things that you saw in a live class, that is not the branding work that you need to be doing. The branding work that you need to be doing is at a specific place in the program. And if you've done that branding work that's at a specific place in the program and you have not done the assignments that you say that you need to do, then you did the program out of order. So do the program in the order that it's presented. I look forward to seeing you in class.
Yes, that's the perfect best way to answer that. I want you hired. And
do not do branding until you are ready to do the branding. You do not want to brand yourself as a Mercedes when you are a bicycle, unless it's a Mercedes bicycle. But yeah.
And you won't be able to properly do the branding without knowing all the things that go into it either. So please wait.
Right. At that point, it's a paper tiger, and we do not build paper tigers.
And here you got Scott McCormick. He was in our program. He just posted in the bottom that he was getting 5 to 10 interview requests per day because he did our branding.
All right. So questions. Like I said, we got a hard stop in 6 minutes, so we may not be able to get to all these questions. I'm trying to get to the questions. What is the success rate of people doing this course?
It's close to 100% for the people that actually do the course and do the work. Now, the people that drop out, that's another story. But here's the thing. You're in our course until you're hired. And we give you a full year of live classes, and you continue to gain access to the course. So as long as you don't quit, you're going to be hired. We are 100% focused on getting people hired, and that's why our people get hired every day.
Shaki asks, which is better, an engineer manager or a cloud solution architect? I asked them what they wanted to do, and they said a cloud architect.
Okay. Well,
so, yeah.
If you want to be an architect, be an architect. I'm going to tell you right now, anything in engineering has about 10% the career potential of an architect. Architects design solutions to improve business performance. A CEO is an architect. A chief information officer is an architect. A CTO is an architect. So you can either manage the techies, or you can help businesses be more in performance. You know, you can earn 2 to 5 times more as an architect than you will in anything related to engineering. So it's what you want to do, which is better. I was an engineer. I gave up being an engineer, and I think engineering is not a kind of job I would want to do, and here's the reason. I don't like sitting behind a desk. I also didn't like coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning to fix things. Well, the architect showed up in Armani and Canelli suits and got paid an extra $150,000 more than I did a year. And the architects were paying people lunches, dinners, and drinks, and I was working incredibly hard. But I've got people like Scott that love the tech. And if they love the tech, they'll be miserable selling stuff. So the key is it's not that one's better or one's worse. The key is what's going to make you happy. If you do something that makes you happy, you'll be happy. And no matter what, you'll find a way to move up the ranks. Someone like Scott will be a great engineer. And Scott's been trained in sales and emotional intelligence and executive presence, and he may find himself with a $250,000 distinguished engineer position a couple of years from now because he's great. So the key is you got to do what you love. I don't like sitting behind a desk. I don't like coding. I like to talk to people, meet people, help people. I much prefer taking somebody for steak and scotch than I actually do sitting behind a desk. So I like architecture, but the key is what's going to make you happy. That's the right career.
All right, so here's our last question. Okay. So here's our next to last question, and then we'll get to the last question. I'll let you answer this quickly, Mike.
Folky, what I dislike about being an engineer, I didn't like working 3 times as harder than the architects. I didn't like that the architects were going on nice trips where I was sitting behind a desk and configuring routers. I didn't like that, the architects were going to these work for an architect would be taking somebody out for sushi on the company credit card, and I had to work. I didn't like that the architects were having steak and scotch and $200 bottles of wine, and I was being called in at 3 o'clock in the morning to fix the tech. Both jobs are fine. It's what suits your personality.
All right, and the best question of the day happens to be the last one. Literally just came in.
I'm going to end this with what Chris is going to drive Chris nuts because I'm going to give you many examples. You don't need to be an engineer to be an architect. They're not related jobs. That's like saying I need to be a flight attendant before I'm going to be a pilot, or a nurse before I'm going to be a doctor. I promise you, S. Miller, even if you work as an engineer, you're still going to need to be retrained to be an architect, and we retrain cloud engineers and software engineers and every other tech professional every day because the job's different. Delray Bat, no tech experience. Jennifer, no tech experience. Balwinder, no tech experience, got hired as a solution architect. Vladimir, no tech experience, is hired as a solution architect. Daniel Bosu, selling shoes at Nordstrom, hired as a cloud architect. Jeffrey West, a geologist, hired as a cloud architect. I mean, Wallace, I don't know what Wallace was doing, but we got him hired as a cloud architect, and it sure wasn't in tech. And I can give you 100 different examples. Engineering has nothing to do with cloud architecture. In fact, S. Miller, Chris and I, how many times have you heard from hiring managers, chief information officers, VPs, and other C-level executives when we speak to them, Chris, that says, I don't want an engineer, I want an architect?
Yep. 100% of us. Yeah, all the time, every day.
Every day. And when you are an engineer, we have to do extreme rebranding of you to make them see you as an architect, not an engineer. You do not need to be an engineer first, not one bit. Train for the job you want and get it. And right now, with our 50% off, basically you can learn to be trained as an architect, get hired for less than 2 days' pay for our average graduate. But that sale expires tomorrow.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's been another amazing question and answer session with all of you. Great questions from everyone. We really appreciated it. Kind of started off a little slow, but we got there. So I want to remind everybody about our 50% off discount. It ends tomorrow. It's not out of the blue. We've had the discount available for a month, and it ends tomorrow. Take advantage of this. Get you access to our award-winning Cloud Architect career development training that's helped so many people get hired in their dream career as a cloud architect. The average cloud architect, according to Glassdoor.com, earns almost $800 per day. With this 50% off discount, our training is available for $1,249. So right now, for less than 2 days' pay of the average cloud architect, you can get this training. It includes over 500 hours worth of content. It includes 3 live classes a week for an entire year, minus some holidays, of course. But 3 live classes a week for an entire year for less than $1,249. It also includes our AWS training, our Azure training, our labs training, our design training, our soft skills training, our mental focus and emotional intelligence training, our interview training, our resume training, our branding training. I could go on. I'm sure I'm leaving something out. It's all there. I promise. It's all there. Every single bit of it. But you can click that link that Tyrone just put in the chat box, and it actually takes you to the program page where you can learn, you can click and see everything that's there, everything that's included. Just above that, a few minutes ago, I posted a link to our testimonials page where you can hear story after story from people about their success. Those are just a handful of the selected people that have gone on to success from this career. So make sure to take advantage of that. Also, join us tonight for our webinar. Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have at 7 p.m. Tonight, we have our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, where we'll tell you everything you need to know to get your first cloud architect job. How we created the program, what hiring managers want, what type of experience actually matters, how to deal with HR, and then, of course, what architects actually do and what you actually need to know as an architect. Guess what? It's not just tech.
Nope.
We share all of that with you so that you can you know what you need to do. So whether you train with us or you train on your own, you will have all that information from the presentation. And then we'll take your questions. You can actually come off mute and have a conversation with us. You can be on screen with me and Mike and Alonso and talk with us. Or you can ask questions in the chat box, just like you did today. But join us for that webinar. Link is in the description and the chat box. We'll be there tonight. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hope we got all of your questions answered satisfactorily. Look forward to seeing all of you this evening. Mike, any last words? Very short.
Please join us this evening. This evening's webinar can and most likely will change your life if you desire to be a cloud architect. But I say this a lot. Don't let anything stop you from achieving your dreams. When I was young, I thought I wanted to do medicine, so I did it. I was there for a little while, and I said, I want to be a network engineer, and I did. 6 months later, I was a lead architect working on Wall Street. You can do the same thing. Get the right training. We've given you the best opportunity to get the world's greatest, most elite training, which we've already won awards for as best online school of cloud computing. Tomorrow's the last day at 50% off. I want you to take advantage of that. But just go after your dreams with us, on your own. I don't care. Please go after your dreams, because I don't want you to live a life of regrets. I want you to live a life of success, happiness, and a lot of wealth. Take care, everyone, and I look forward to seeing so many of you tonight. It's going to be a big show, and you'll be able to ask us questions live via voice. You can come on screen if you want, and we'll make sure that we can help make sure your cloud architect or solution architect dreams come true. Look forward to seeing you tonight.